So the rule of 55 is very powerful when it comes to early retirement planning because you actually don't have to wait until you're age 60 to retire with a 401k. It doesn't even have to be a 401k. The rule of 55 applies to a 401k, 403b, TSP, or any employer sponsored retirement account, not your IRA, just your employer sponsored retirement account. So what that means is that when you turn 55 years old, you decide to quit your job or you got fired or laid off, you can actually start withdrawing penalty free from your 401k, 403b, or TSP as long as you're 55 years old. If you're 54 years old right now, but you're going to turn 55 in the same calendar year, the rule of 55 will also apply to you. You have to be careful though, because once you move your 401k to an IRA after you retire, you're going to lose that rule of 55 benefit and end up waiting until you're 59 and a half. Okay. There's also an exception to policy and start making penalty-free withdrawals if you're a public safety employee. Okay. Let's say you're a public safety employee with the federal, state, or local government. If you work for the federal government, let's say, or local government as a firefighter, law enforcement officer, like let's say FBI, police officers, or air traffic controllers, you're going to get the special category employee treatment and start making penalty-free withdrawals from your 401k or 457b or TSP at the age of 50. So age 50 for public safety employees. So make sure to look it up on the on your HR website. If you're a federal employee, you can go to the OPM website if you fall under that category. Okay. Usually you're going to have a code in your TSP that you're going to be designated as a public safety officer. All right. So let me give you an example. Okay. So let's say you have a traditional 401k and you have $1 million invested by age 55. Right. So if I decide to quit my job or I get laid off or fired by my employer and I'm turning 55 this year, then I'm eligible to withdraw from my traditional 401k penalty free. Remember, this is penalty free, but not tax free because I would still owe income taxes on the distributions. So if you're in a state that requires you to pay state income tax, you got to throw that in there too. Because I know people are going to complain, I work all my life to invest all that, but you got to remember every dollar that you put into your traditional 401k right here, that's only pre-tax dollars. So you elected to defer your taxes and then you elected to pay your taxes later on in your retirement. Okay. So you got to keep that in mind. It's going to be penalty free, but you will pay income tax, right? All right. So that 10% penalty would be waived. But remember that the income tax on the distribution. So what's nice about the rule of 55 is that you can take distributions from the 401k you just retire from and then get a part-time job and still keep withdrawing from your 401k if you want to. You just can't roll that over to your IRA or you're going to lose that benefit. But let's say, what if I had a Roth 401k? Okay. So if I decide to make early withdrawals from my Roth 401k using the rule of 55, the early withdrawals will have to be prorated between my Roth contributions and earnings and interest. Okay. So it's also called a pro rata combination of contributions and earnings. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's say I have 500K in Roth and I have another 500K in earnings. Okay. So what that means is that that's a total of $1 million, right? So my taxable earning ratio is 50% because $500,000 divided by the total portfolio of $1 million is 50%, right? So let's say I do the 4% withdrawal rule and I'm going to withdraw $40,000 a year from my Roth 401k. Tracking so far? Okay. So if that's the case, then I have to remember that every $40,000, 50% of that is tax-free because that's coming from my Roth contributions. I don't pay the government taxes twice, but the other 50% is taxed. Okay, because I am withdrawing by age 59 and a half. Okay, so 50% of that would be taxed because it is considered early distributions. So the other 50% is tax-free because I already pay taxes on that portion, right? So when it comes to the rule of 55 with the Roth 401k, take a look at your 401k portfolio and see how much of your money was contributed after tax and how much of your Roth 401k was grown in earnings and interest and dividend reinvestments. because those are all part of earnings that you can't technically take out tax-free until you're 59 and a half. But under the rule of 55, you can actually take that earnings out, but you will owe income tax on it. All right, that makes sense so far? And when it comes to using the rule of 55, in my opinion, I think it's better to use just for the traditional portion or traditional 401k and not the Roth portion. And the reason is very simple. I want to have my Roth 401k grow tax-free as long as possible while I cash out my traditional 401k until it runs out. What I don't want to deal with is the RMD, or required minimum distributions, in my 70s. And minimizing my tax burdens during my retirement is one of my top financial goals throughout my financial independence journey. So you also have to remember that the rule of 55 only applies to your current 401k plan. So if you previously employed with a hospital with a 403b plan or with the federal government that comes with a TSP, you'll need to roll that over to your current 401k in order for you to gain access at the age of 55. And the other thing you want to make sure is that your current 401k plan allows you to withdraw penalty-free at the age of 55. Not all 401k plans currently offer the rule of 55, which is unfortunate in my opinion. And remember, if you roll that 401k over to your IRA, you're gonna lose the rule of 55. So you wanna keep that in your 401k if you plan to use it as a part of your retirement income. Understanding your retirement timeline now absolutely matters, right? You need to know in what year you're going to turn 55 years old. So if you retire or quit your job at the age of 54, you're gonna lose the rule of 55 benefit and end up waiting another 4.5 years when you turn 59 and a half to make any penalty-free withdrawals from your 401k. It is absolutely crucial that you keep track of how much of your 401k is in traditional and how much of your 401k is in Roth. It will make your retirement planning so much easier, trust me. And if you're still not sure what you're doing, you can schedule a consultation with me by visiting firestarter.com/consultation.